I'm joined by University of Central Oklahoma linebacker Jack Puckett. Jack, thank you for taking time this evening to come on and talk to me. Could you start by telling the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you having me on here tonight. So my name is Jack Puckett. I'm originally from Bixby, Oklahoma. I graduated in 2022. I redshirted my initial season at UCO after being diagnosed with appendicitis during fall camp. Sat out that season, got some good reps on scout team, rolled in not 2 springs ago, started getting some reps, working my way up. And then this past season, finally got to see the field some, had a little bit of success. So that's where I stand now as a redshirt sophomore.
Now, I think obviously when we talk about Oklahoma high school football, the two names you hear is either Bixby and Carl Albert. Now, growing up in Bixby, what I guess maybe to those of us that just see this as a dominant program, what does the sport of football mean for the whole town of Bixby? Like, how big of a part of maybe everyday life or in general is football to the city of Bixby?
Sure. I'd have to say, obviously, pretty big deal. Definitely a big deal for the entire town. But what's interesting is it's Bixby as a whole, and I think it might stem down through football. The town does a great job supporting every one of the athletic sports there at Bixby. It's definitely stemmed with football ever since they started going on that long streak. It means a lot to the whole community, and my mom always makes jokes about how they're spoiled. They get to sit in the stands and watch typically not very close games, but sometimes they get to watch great games. And they always get to watch great players. So ever since I've been there, they've packed the place and just supported us through fundraising and their attendance. It's been great growing up there.
And what kind of is the when you're out there, when you have on the Bixby uniform, you're out there on the field, and the standard that's there is a very high standard that not many programs can achieve. Did it ever get to a point where maybe it was overwhelming, knowing like the bar was set so high that maybe anything less than dominant victory after dominant victory might not have been seen as much of a success? Like, how did you kind of manage the high standard that is Bixby football?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I would have to say that it starts with the culture. The culture is never looking forward at the gold ball during the summer, right? We're not in the summertime saying, hey, we're going to go win a state championship. We are in the summertime saying, hey, we're going to do this next 110 or this next set of squats better than anyone else is going to do them. And when you stack all those over time, you reach fall, you reach August, and you start playing games. And it's the same scenario. We're going to play this snap. We're going to play this game step by step. And the way that was established is just the hard-nosed culture that a lot of guys established before even myself. Like one of my roommates, Noah West, he was 3 classes above me, kind of an older guy. His class was one that really established it. Mine was able to come in and kind of set our own precedent. And what's awesome is it's everybody on the entire roster there. There's not just a handful of guys that believe in this culture. It's the entire team. And that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders, knowing you're not the only one out there that's feeling like they need to step up to the plate or something like that. It's a foundational thing that's been built through the culture, and everyone out there feels it. So.
And you mentioned your class was the one that set a precedent. I mean, we talking you won a championship all 4 years you were there. How hard was it to repeat 4 times in a row? Because obviously every week, just the name alone, you're going to get everybody's best shot. But when you're you win a state champ, then you're defending state champ, then you're a 2-time defending state champ, then finally you're a 3-time defending state champ. Like, how did you manage maybe the complacency that could come with that, and kind of being able to still go into every season like, the goal is still to get another gold ball. Like, how'd you all kind of combat getting complacent during that run?
Sure. Also, a great question, and it takes me back. So many conversations had about that, about being complacent or thinking that you have arrived. And I have to go back to complimenting every older guy that I've ever played under at Bixby. Once upon a time, I was a freshman and sophomore, not seeing much playing time, but watching these guys, living through these guys that were committed to this culture, and I had it imprinted in my brain that that's how things are done, because I watched them win very, very tough fought state championships my freshman and sophomore year. Junior year for my class was no cakewalk. It was an absolute grind of a season. But through that culture, we were able to accomplish what we wanted. And then amongst our team, there were plenty of guys that had their individual goals, right? Wanted to be all state, wanted to make it to the next level. But everyone understood that the only way you accomplish that is by performing within the confines of our schemes and our culture. And everyone did a great job of that. And that's what led us to be so successful and eventually win 4 back to back to back to back. So it was a special experience for sure. And I mean, like I said, I have to give it to the older guys that we got to watch growing up and then that we got to play with. I have to give it to Coach Montgomery, who he did not have to say much, and we understood exactly what he meant when he started explaining complacency and how that can get real dangerous. So I'd say those are the leading factors in what allowed us to continue to be successful.
And you were also named the defensive player of the year by the Oklahoman. What did receiving that honor mean to you?
That meant a lot to me. I put a lot of man hours into that, and again, I played under and I played with some outstanding dudes that I learned a lot from and set me up for success. Without the other guys out there on that field, I'm not making the plays that I'm making, and I'm never receiving that award. Quite frankly, it was a long time coming, though, for sure. I'd say I took the biggest jump from my junior to senior year, specifically in the summer, from kind of a guy that was on the kind of on the edge of, is he going to be a big time player or is he just going to be a good player in his role? And I'd like to think that my preparation helped me go out there and put together a really nice season that earned me that award. And it's all thanks to everyone that was with me along the way, my teammates, coaches, and strength staff. That's really what all came together in a perfect storm that senior year, allowing me to get that award.
Now, when you say your preparation changed between your junior and senior year, like what did you change in order to have that breakout senior year that led you to receiving that honor?
Mm-hmm. So, and I use the word change. It's probably not the best word, um, because I was most definitely bought into the culture and worked hard throughout my career at Bixby. I was kind of a injury plagued kid. I had a torn labrum my sophomore year and broke my collarbone twice due to that injury sophomore year. So I didn't have much of a season there, and had to have a surgery done that winter. So I wasn't cleared until June of the summer going into my junior year, and that affected my preparation. I wasn't able to put together the best summer. I probably wasn't uh, increasing like my maxes and my just overall muscle and size. I was kind of an undersized kid that junior season, but I was just blessed to have a healthy off season headed into my senior year, and that's what really boosted all my numbers, my size, and then I really just became intentional about wanting to make it to the next level as I moved into that senior year. I looked at the work that I had put in, and I looked at some of the plays and the film that I was putting out that senior year, and I compared it to others, and I started to gain a sense of confidence that I could really do this and really make something out of this. So I'd say it's the biggest changes, if you will, or kind of what I overcame to make that jump.
And what some might not know, you were also a two-time state qualifier as a wrestler. Now, I talked to Peyton Scott, it was last year. I think it was last year. He also wrestled at Sand Springs. He told me it can get kind of crazy with trying to like cut weight and meet weight and all that stuff. What for you? I guess what? How are you successful as a wrestler in order to be a two-time state qualifier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a program that when you think of Bixby, you always hear about football, right? Well, if you look further into Bixby, look at the wrestling program and look at the dudes they've produced, and it's pretty crazy. I've had the opportunity of being a part of a top 20 in the nation ranked football team and a top 20 ranked in the nation wrestling team, and people overlook that sometimes. But I had a great staff that I wrestled under at Bixby, and it's no joke that wrestling is going to help transfer over to the football field. The last time I had to make any type of large cuts was that junior wrestling season of mine. I was cutting from maybe 200, 203 to about 182 pounds. But they were I was fortunate enough my senior year to not have to do much cutting. I wrestled 220, and so that did not affect my preparation that I was putting in to move to UCO. But that Bixby wrestling program does a great job of getting football players in December, which is extremely late for wrestling season. They know exactly how to develop us and get us ready for regionals and state. That's the biggest thing on our mind. It's not necessarily all the other tournaments. We do our best to be extremely ready for those as well. But the biggest thing, like I said, is regionals and state. That Bixby wrestling program has a firm grasp on how they need to develop football players that they get in late and turn them into where they need to be come that time of year. So that's where I'd credit my success to, is just that staff and the guys that I got to wrestle with in that room. They were always so good about getting me in late, flipping me within a month and having me ready to go, along myself and then everyone else that was a football player.
And that's now you mentioned you had to go at one point from 203 to 183, and then obviously you have to gain that back for football season. How tough is that to kind of fluctuate between those weights? Like I'm sure it's not easy on the body. It's not an easy process. Kind of talk about like what that process is like, having to drop weight and then gain the weight back.
Mm-hmm. So there's definitely a science behind it. You have to be, there's two paths you're going to travel. You're either going to do a good job or a bad job. There's no real in between. The way it works is it's a lot of water weight that I was losing there. So say I have a tournament on Saturday, Tuesday, I'm going to really all week, the entire wrestling season, I'm changing up my diet completely. It's chicken and rice the whole time, and then vegetables and fruits for fibers and things like that. So you have to eat extremely clean, and you actually have to, for me, I found it helpful to hydrate, because 2 days out from that tournament, I'm now in the room eating less portions of food, and I'm cutting all the water weight. That's the biggest thing you want to lose, is the water weight. You don't want to starve yourself, and you don't want to begin to lose muscle. So that's the biggest way to do it, is to be in there with a hoodie on, some sweatpants on, get rid of your water weight, make weight, and then replenish the right way. So have yourself a Pedialyte or two. Start with like a bagel and some cream cheese. Maybe eat a bigger meal later on in the day, that Friday or Saturday. And then come Sunday, honestly, I was back up to 195, 200, just because that's how my body operated. But like I said, that junior year was the only year that I had what I would call a big cut. Other years it was 10 pounds or so, and then senior year was none at all. So there's a science behind it, and our staff, every one of them, were former collegiate wrestlers, All-Americans. So they did a great job of walking us through that process.
And you mentioned that wrestling translates over well to football. I know we hear that a lot with linemen and leverage and such. As a linebacker, though, how has wrestling helped you on the football field?
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned it. Leverage is a big deal. When I go into defeat blocks, I feel like I'm already a step ahead. Understanding where my weight needs to be, understanding if I can change levels and get around a block, or if I'm going to have to contact it. That's the relationship between wrestling and football, where that kind of marry up together. If you're going to have to force contact, or if you're going to be able to change levels and get around. And the biggest thing that I've seen a benefit is my tackling. And if you go and watch my younger brother's film as well, he's a great open field tackler, and it's because of wrestling. You'll see him, and then even myself, when we go in for a tackle, we're likely going to change levels, just as you would to shoot a shot in the wrestling room and wrap a guy up and take him down. That's the biggest benefit that I see wrestlers having on the football field, is how to change levels and make a tackle.
And when you look back on your time at Bixby, the success, the accolades, the championships, what kind of stands out to you the most?
The thing that stands out to me the most is the overwhelming buy-in. It's no question that the guy to your left and the guy to your right is there for the same reason that you are, and there's no question that they're going to be playing for you and not just for themselves. And it's amazing to me how it happened every year. Every year, it's like Bixby's out here reloading. They graduated 13 seniors. Are they going to be good? And next thing you know, they've got some stud that's a junior, occasionally some sophomores that have been in line wanting to play, wanting to win and uphold the Bixby culture, because they've gotten to watch guys buy in, play for each other, and commit to the process, as they call it. And that's the biggest factor that contributes into that.
Now, I'm sure coinciding with your big senior year, I'm sure your recruiting saw an uptick in interest and stuff. So, kind of throughout that recruiting process, how did you decide that UCO is where you wanted to play your college football?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, like you said, that my senior year was when recruiting, the summer going into my senior year, and then that senior season is when recruiting picked up the most for me. And it consisted of a lot of Division II schools, a lot of the MIAA. Really, I took quite a few officials within the MIAA, some preferred walk-on opportunities, things of that sort. The thing that led me to UCO is, obviously I'm a Tulsa kid. It's Edmond. It's an hour and 40 minutes away from my hometown. So geographically makes sense for me, right? Keeps me close to my family. But then as I visited other places, I enjoyed my visits and whatnot. When this new staff rolled in, Coach Dorrell, and shout out Dimitri Donald, who just got a new position, but both those guys were on me quick, right? And the new staff, they had a limited amount of time to put together the class of 22s, my class. And I felt like they were doing a great job. They were on the phone with me all the time, making it known that they did not want to lose an Oklahoma kid. And I'll give another shout out to Rashad Sanders, who I know just picked up another position as well. He was an absolute he was in my corner the whole time, getting me to UCO. So I really appreciate all those guys. Those guys were always reaching out, letting me know that they do not want to lose an in-state guy. So that meant a lot to me. So geographically, it's close to home. Those guys reaching out within the short period that they had to work with meant a lot to me. And then the facilities are great. And what I liked and was really attracted to was Coach Dorrell understanding what it takes to win in this league at the highest level, right? He's won this conference, this exact same conference. He's won it He's won national championships. So what I thought about is how Lauren Montgomery knows how to win state championships within the state of Oklahoma, right? Well, Coach Doral knows how to win national championships at the Division II level, and he knows how to win MIAA conference championships. So that I'm going to have to say that was the deciding factor for me, is I wanted to go play with the guy that knows the blueprint and has done it, and everything else was a bonus for me. So that's what got me in the boat.
And you mentioned earlier when we first started, you had I think a appendicitis. You said your freshman year that caused you to redshirt. Like how did that come about, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, that was a crazy time for sure. I had made it through the first week of my first ever fall camp, and I think it was a Monday night. And I was laying down in the dorms, ready to go to bed, and started having some real stomach pains, and to the point that I couldn't get any rest. And I went on ahead and took myself to the emergency room, and they ran a CAT scan, let me know that I had appendicitis, had to get surgery. So I remember texting the coaches in a group chat at like 4:30 in the morning, like, "Hey, I'm not going to make it tomorrow, and I might be out this next week too." But went on ahead and had the operation, was out 6 weeks, came back week 5. And the thing is, that was prior to the rule of you can play X amount of games and still have your red shirt. And I had a conversation with the staff, and I didn't necessarily want to burn that red shirt for our last few games. And they allowed me to go ahead and use that red shirt. And like I said, I was able to get some good scout team reps, but that was definitely an interesting part of my journey, and it happened early on. So,
And deciding to preserve that register, that full year of eligibility, then how weird was it? I guess you going from here, you were starting for a 4-time state champion, you were defensive player of the year in the state, to now, like you said, only taking scout team reps. How big of an adjustment was that, and did it have any effect on you mentally? Kind of like, I'm used to being out there, but now here I am on the sideline. I can really only help kind of behind the scenes instead of, on the field, making tackles, making plays.
mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. And I've gotten that question before, like, man, like, did it just hurt you inside? And obviously, anytime you deal with some sort of injury like that, you're going to get affected mentally, get down on yourself a little bit. And that most definitely happened. But like I told you, I dealt with injuries at Bixby a little bit that sophomore season, and I'm really thankful for it because I understood how to deal with it. I wasn't hanging my head or anything like that. I just understood that this is the new reality for me, and it's just going to give me another year to develop. And I had a great fall lifting in our freshman weightlifting group. Developing and then working against the ones as a scout linebacker was awesome. I mean, I was playing against some real dudes. So anytime I'd make a play, I'd feel pretty good about myself, and I'd learn how to defeat blocks against a starting offensive line. So it ultimately benefited me 100%. And if I could go back, I'd say I don't regret a thing. It turned out to be a beneficial experience. So it took a toll on me mentally for a while, but it's just about knowing your role. And my role was to be the best scout team linebacker I could be, and try and get those guys out there on Saturdays and help them make some plays, which was so much fun to watch. Understanding that I still played a part in some of the offensive success, and then still learning from a lot of the older guys on defense. That's another thing I'd like to mention is the defensive staff did a great job of, even though I was using my red shirt, I got to be a part of every meeting ever and hear the install for the week and the scouting report, and ask a few questions here and there. So by no means did I feel left out or like I was just a scout team player. I was most definitely a part of that team, and like I said, wouldn't regret a thing.
And when you were able to step on the field and practice, I guess what kind of was the biggest difference that you noticed from high school to college in terms of on the field?
On the field, definitely slowing down the middle aspect of it is it takes some time, and specifically at that Mike linebacker position, because the scheme it's obviously just a little more complex, and it's kind of like drinking out of a fire hose. You got to first learn the scheme, and two, get to the point that you can look around you and understand if everyone else is correct within the scheme. That takes some reps for sure as a younger guy. And then you always hear people talking about the speed of the game. And that's a real thing as well. How quick offensive linemen climb to you at the next level is unreal. Everyone's bigger and faster, stronger. So it's really hitting a reset button. Here I am, a senior in high school, bigger, faster, stronger than really everybody else. Wasn't really any other offensive lineman that I didn't feel I had a great chance one-on-one with. And then you reset in college, right? You have to not relearn, but sharpen every tool in your toolbox. You have to prepare your body even more and continue to develop through reps, like I said, to learn the scheme, understand the scheme, and then learn how to play football at the next level as far as defeating new blockers and just actually going to make plays. It's a lot harder to make plays, obviously, at the next level. And when you do make them, it's a awesome feeling. So,
So you know, the last season, you're finally healthy. You saved your red shirt. What was that first college game like for you? What kind of were you feeling? What were the emotions?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I was definitely nervous, but also thankful. I mean, like I told you, I knew I'd put in a lot of time preparing. I was confident in my abilities. I was confident in everyone that I was playing with, and it was just so much fun. The biggest thing was I got to come back in the spring, and start playing, and it's like that. Those are quality reps. But there's nothing like playing in a football game, obviously, and I hadn't done that in a long time. So our first game was Nebraska Kearney, and I'll never forget like the first tackle I made. It was gap scheme and guard blocks down, and I freeze for just a second, but eventually I triggered down and made a little ankle biter tackle for maybe a 1 yard gain, and that's when everything slowed down, and I was like, all right, this is what you've been doing. This is what you're supposed to still be doing, and you're going to be all right. But definitely nervous, definitely a little mind's racing a little bit. But once you settle in and once you have a firm understanding of the scheme, you can begin playing fast again, and that's when you start making real plays and the game becomes fun.
Now, you mentioned the scheme, and I think I talked to you guys. Talked to you after the Lincoln game, and that was the first game you all switched from the 3-3-5 to the 4-3. So, what was that experience like? Kind of mid-season, changing up defensive schemes like that.
Mm-hmm. It was different, and it was a little bit of a challenge. We did our best to mix and match some verbiage so that we weren't completely reinventing everything. Personally, as a linebacker with 4 down D linemen, it's really nice because one, it's less gaps to have to worry about, and two, offensive linemen aren't climbing to you as fast. Therefore, you're the one that gets to go make some more plays, and that most definitely benefited our linebacker room production-wise. We were able to go make some more plays. But the switch midseason, like I said, it was a little tough to get down, but I feel like we did a pretty solid job of all coming together and just saying, all right, this is the new reality, and let's figure out the best way to run this and do what we need to do in it.
Yeah, and I think, you just watching, there was a marked difference. I feel like defensively from that point on. I look at the Pitt State game was a classic example. That was a top 10 ranked team, and the commentators going to made a whole hoopla. They didn't have their starting quarterback, yada yada yada. But to go up there in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and put on the defensive performance that you all put on there. I commended Hunter for this, but like I truly commend the way you all as a whole closed out that season. I feel like it could have been really easy to get discouraged by the struggles early on, and to fight through that the way you did, way you all did with the scheme change and playing better football down the stretch. I think that's very commendable, and I think it says a lot about that unit as a whole, that you all were able to understand that that's not the standard, and to make that stand. At least to me, it really says a lot. I'm sure it did to a lot of the fans out there. So I just wanted to make that known, that like that was noticed, and it was appreciated, because I think it says a lot about the guys in that locker room, that even though it wasn't going good, um, you never stop fighting, and I think that's something to be commended about. But your individual season, I mean, I gotta say, I greatly appreciate you having the season that you did, because when you came out of Bixby and I watched the film, I was like, this guy is going to be a stud for us. And I'm glad that the early impressions are trending in that direction. So I appreciate that for helping my predictions look good. That helps my credibility. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I appreciate that. But when you look back on the season, you played in all 11 games, 61 tackles, 9.5 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, 1 deflection. How would you rate your redshirt freshman season?
Sure. Well, I mean, there were so many experiences that went into it. I'd say, especially that first half of the season, I was really playing as a second string guy. Got plenty of reps. Was playing on a lot of special teams. Played on a lot of special teams the entirety of the season, but my role was really a rotational guy that first half of the season, and then as we trended towards some more four down D lineman stuff, and just moved some guys around schematically, and I kind of turned into a starter for us. That's when my production would picked up, I'd say. And that's a combination of me being out there for more snaps, but also the second half of the season, I feel like I was able to, like I talked about earlier, kind of get a little more comfortable out there and start playing a lot faster. And that's when production picked up and I started having a lot of fun. And so I feel like I had a great redshirt freshman season, just experience-wise. There's so much that I can improve on when I turn on the film. It's funny, like just the more film you watch, the more reps you get, whether it's an OTA, spring ball, fall camp, like you just get so much better, and you only get 11 guaranteed games to show that. So just putting in the preparation is going to be so crucial for me, because I would love to increase my just production and end up being a triple digit tackler guy for us within the confines of the scheme. So I'm thankful for the season I had, and I'm extremely excited for what could come in the future.
And what areas are you kind of hoping to improve on the most heading into the season?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, we have exit meetings after spring, fall camp, and the season, and it's a self evaluation. We have them with our coaches, and they do a great job of pointing stuff out that some guys might be a little sensitive to, whether it's call it your weight, you're too small, you're too big, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough. Those are all things that you can control to some extent, right? Well, my biggest thing is going to be my play style. I'd like to think I'm a pretty hard-nosed downhill linebacker. I can make plays sideline to sideline, and I feel that I've shown that with my film. The biggest thing that I want to work on is kind of block destruction. I feel like I contact plenty of linemen and kind of just stone them, right? Hit them, get extension, and close that gap up. What I've spoken with my coaches about, and what their biggest goal for me is to expand my toolbox on block destruction and really get a finesse bag and start to get around a lineman and avoid them, and then go make a tackle, not just at the line of scrimmage or for a 1 or 2 yard game, but start making some real explosive plays, TFLs. And that's the biggest thing I'm looking to improve on, is block destruction with a finesse bag and start making more explosive plays for our defense.
And now you've had experience because your Linebackers coach first year was Coach Harwell. He then left. I think it was then Coach Lechtenberg. Coach Lechtenberg has not got the head job at Millsaps. So now Coach Swanson comes in as DC. Coach Harwell is back. How has it been learning the new scheme under Coach Swanson and back playing under Coach Harwell again?
Honestly, it's been awesome. The entire defensive staff we've brought in, love every one of those dudes. They're doing a great job, in my opinion, and I feel like it has reflected in what we've been able to put out on the field in spring and in OTAs. Love the new scheme where I think we're going to do a great job this season. I think specifically at the linebacker position, we are going to be able to play much faster and go make those explosive plays, TFLs that I was telling you about. And having Coach Harwell back has been a lot of fun too. That guy doesn't get enough credit. He's an outstanding linebackers coach, and he's been a huge help as the strength and conditioning coach as well. And I'm excited that he's back coaching myself, coaching our younger guys, and I'm just excited to play another season under him and play a season with Coach Swanson. I think they're doing a great job.
And when I talked to Coach Harwell, he raved about that. He could not say enough good things about that room. I think he told me, as a matter of fact, he would feel comfortable playing 8 to 9 guys. What is it about that linebacker room that not only him, but like other coaches I've talked to, other players I've talked to, they rave about that the linebacker room, not just the top tier guys, not just like the Noahs and the Connors and you, but like all the way down to the Reese Rollers and the Kazan Birds, like those type of guys. What is it like being in a room with that much talent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say it's awesome for a few different reasons. The older guys and then those kids are awesome to be around every day because you don't have to question what you're about to get out of them. I'd go to war with that entire room of guys. They're all studs. They're all warriors. So that's one thing we've done a good job is bringing in the right kids. Everyone we've brought in that's with us right now have been phenomenal about asking questions, working on themselves physically and working on their craft. We don't have to ask guys twice, but if they need help, they come to us, and that's the most important thing because we're able to take huge strides within every aspect of the game. And then speaking on culture, I think we have a really good culture as a room, and I think it's been something that we've built upon every season and continues to get better and better with, and that's through just upholding it ourselves and then bringing in the right kids. It's proven to have paid off. Like Harwell and many others have said, we've got some real studs in that room, and I completely agree with them. We could play 8 or 9 guys, and they would be extremely productive, and all of them would be selfless, tough, and disciplined on that football field. So, great room.
And you mentioned bringing in the right guys. Now, obviously, it was a talented class that was signed this past signing day, but among them was your brother Hank. What does it mean to you to be playing alongside him, being in the same meeting room? What does that mean to you?
It means a lot, most definitely. Met one because I think he was legitimately the best linebacker in his recruiting class, and I wanted him to be here badly because of that. Not only are we getting the best linebacker in the class, but we're getting my younger brother, and it's a cool experience that we got to have in high school, and I'm really excited that it's going to continue over into college. You don't hear many stories like that, and it's pretty special to be at the same position too. Whatever he needs help with, I can answer his questions and hopefully speed up the process of him learning the defense. And I'm just really excited, like you said, to play next to him again and help him in whatever way I can to set him up to have more success than I did here at UCO, just like I was able to at Bixby.
And And I guess my final football-related question for you. Now, I know you said that you want to be a triple-digit tackler. Is there any other goals that you hope to achieve this upcoming season?
Sure. And triple-digit tackler, and I always mention within the confines of the scheme. Swanson and I have talked about this. When you're a triple-digit tackler, one, your defense is going to be pretty good. That means everyone is doing their job. The D-line's picking up double teams, and you're going to be a very productive football player and help your defense out a lot. But along with that is going to come with the honors like All-Conference, All-American, both of which are goals of mine and will be every season that I have remaining. But the simplest way to obtain that is to be a triple-digit tackle guy, and that's a huge goal of mine. And if you complete that, you're on the road to earn those honors and earn those goals that I've set forth for myself.
Well, before we get you out of here, we do this with all the new guests, kind of some more get to know you type questions. So your favorite sports team can be any sport.
Clearly football's up there on that list. Love the golf. A lot of us have picked up golf recently and started playing a ton, so that's up there. And then I really enjoy watching UFC fights on the weekends with the guys because we're all a bunch of washed up wrestlers and we think we know what's going on out there, but in reality, clearly we don't have a clue. So I'd put those up there. Football, UFC, and golf. Those are three similar, completely different sports, though, and I enjoy all three of them.
You have a favorite team?
So I'm not a big, people will ask my professional sports team, right? And I don't have a team. I like to pick individual guys, specifically Devin White for the Buccaneers. Love the way that guy plays. Played at LSU. He's kind of a shorter linebacker, but his speed's unreal. So love the way he flies around. And then just picking out that Mike linebacker that gets their defense in the right spot and then goes and makes a ton of plays, like Devin, Fred Warner, and so many other guys, Luke Kuechly back in the day. So it's not so much that I have a team. It's really I focus on specific units and specific positions.
Okay. So your favorite hobby outside of football?
Yeah, so in the wintertime, really my entire house, both my roommates, we're spending every weekend hunting, duck hunting. So that's a big hobby of ours. Hopefully keep the fridge full, and then just a great time being out there with our teammates every weekend at 5 a.m, sitting in the duck blind and talking about whatever outside of football. I'd say that's have to be the biggest one that we like to get into around that winter time.
So who's the best hunter out of the bunch?
Yeah, and there's different factors that go into that, like who can actually call a duck in. Noah's been working on it a lot, and he's actually gotten a lot better. I'm not worth much in that department, but I'd have to say probably Ben Harmon as far as who actually gets on birds and limits out. It's probably going to be Ben Harmon. He's got the facilities for it, but he also is just a little more consistent than we are, I'd say.
Okay, I feel like Ben, jack of all trades. You're a football player, baseball player. At this point, it doesn't surprise me if someone tells me Ben Harmon can juggle. Let's see. Okay, your favorite TV show?
Good question. I'm gonna have to go with either The Punisher or The Terminal List. Both of those are series that I watched real quick. Good series. I'm kind of a big Marvel guy, so The Punisher was cool to watch. And then The Terminal List, I've always been interested in, like the Navy SEALs and whatnot. So, it doesn't go into much of what that's like, but it's just a really cool action series. So I enjoyed it.
Okay, so now you said I know Marvel and DC is this whole thing. So why are you Team Marvel over Team DC.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not like a diehard Marvel over DC. I'll watch both because I'm interested in both. But when you talk about like the MCU, I think it's really cool how all the films and movies run together, and there's a timeline to be followed. And I mean that helps me, really piques my interest when I'm either watching those or rewatching all of them. Is that they all kind of clash together, and I find that really cool.
Okay. Are you a gamer? You play video games at all?
Yeah, that's another thing that the linebacker room's good at. Also, is we've got a pretty good Call of Duty Warzone team to put together if we ever needed to play anybody. So we love playing some Warzone. We'll play some Fortnite here and there, and then I like Red Dead Redemption 2. I've played that a lot too. So yeah, uh, I'll get on the game from time to time for sure.
Okay. Now, are we Xbox, PlayStation, or PC?
I'm a PlayStation guy myself.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think most of the team is. There's only a handful. Coach Doro's an Xbox guy. Coach Curley is an Xbox guy. I think I'm forgetting somebody said they were an Xbox guy. I've only counted like 4 Xbox guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I got I'm not like I used to be Xbox guy, right? I went from GameCube to PS2 to 360, Xbox One, and then to PS5.
Okay.
So like I realized the error of my ways. I should have went with the PS4 after the 360, but I was like, no, I'm sticking with my Xbox. And then I'm like, yeah, I should have went to PS4. Now it's too late. I
Mhm.
invested too much into this. So I was like, whenever the next generation comes out, I'll
Yeah.
go back to PlayStation. But yeah,
Fair enough.
it's tough. It's tough. Okay, well, I had to hold out hope there. Let's see. Okay, your favorite musical artist.
Ooh, good question. I'm gonna have to go. So like my favorite genre is country music. So I mean, there's different time periods here. My favorite older country artist is going to be Randy Travis, and then of the kind of the newer age guys, currently it's been this guy named Gavin Adcock, who's up and coming. He's a good artist. I feel like Chris Stapleton, great artist too. So if you had to throw some out there like that, I'd have to say, and Cody Jinks, that's another big one for me. So those four right there are they're all on my playlist. So
Oh, and that now, do you ever talk to Hunter about this? Because I know Hunter's a big country guy, and he went on here and gave a beautiful breakdown of new country, old country, red dirt, and like something else. It was a fantastic breakdown. I greatly appreciate it. Like, do you ever talk to him about country? Because he seems to be extremely knowledgeable on it.
oh yeah, we actually went golfing the other day, and the entire car ride there was the exact same breakdown that you just mentioned him talking about. And I mean, there's a lot to go into there, and him and I went real in depth having a conversation about it. But he is most definitely a knowledgeable guy when it comes to it, and I find myself sharing a lot of his opinions. So uh, we had a good conversation about it.
Now, the aux cord in the locker room. Now, I ask this every time, but because I've been told it's not for the weak, your phone will get yanked. It's very sink or swim. Now, have you ever been on the aux before? And if so, has your phone ever been yanked off?
No, I've steered clear of that because of the fear of having my phone yanked. But um, so I get to just be I just get to critique. I get to listen to whatever someone's putting on and yell at them instead of having to worry about me personally being up on it. But it's an ordeal for sure, but we balance it out pretty good, I feel like, and it's pretty funny. You'll show a guy a song, and you never know if he's going to listen to it, and then it'll come on, and you'll peek around the corner, and he put it on, and it's always pretty funny to see. So it's a high stress situation if you're on the aux, but I feel like for the most part, guys are doing a pretty good job. And if they're not doing a good job, like you said, they're going to find out real quick. So
That now, who in your opinion is the worst on the Ox?
Oh gosh, you know, um, that's a good question there. And it, like I said, like everyone has their days. Everyone has their good days, bad days. Lamb sometimes will go up there and put the most random stuff on. And I don't know what the song is they've been putting on recently, but he's got to stop putting that on too. But Lamb has good days, but some days I look over at him and I'm like, hey man, this one ain't it. Um, so I had to pick one. I'm gonna go Lamb.
Lamb. That seems to be the answer. Everybody I talk to is Lamb. It's like it went from. I think it used to be Rob. I was told Rob Fuentes was the worst for a period of time,
Yeah,
and now it goes to Lamb. So I don't know what it is about that D line group that.
they're different.
Yeah, everybody says Lamb, and I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it. He just seems like a different cat that just I don't know has different tastes.
Yeah.
So I'm not too surprised by that. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not too surprised. Okay. And then who, in your opinion, is the best?
Uh, for me personally, I'm gonna go Andrew Carney. Him and I have the closest taste, and he's not afraid to step up there and put his phone on the aux. So he gets it done for me for sure. And yeah, that'd be the best in my opinion.
Okay, because I think somebody told me I think he's more of like a rock guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's more of like a rock and country guy. So I think that kind of guy who told me that. But okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a correct analysis of him for sure and his song choices. And then I feel like a good mediator is D Rob. D Rob gets up there and I mean he's sporadic with it. I mean it'll be rap 1 minute and then like I mentioned earlier, like you'll hear a country song pop out. And it's like, well, where'd you hear this one? And either he loves it and it's on his playlist or someone showed him it. So great, he's a great mediator. He keeps it switched up every other song for sure.
Now I don't know if you were there during this workout when I talked to I think it was Bryston. I knew Bryston a couple of years then back in 2022, I want to say. I remember this might have been before your time, but your former teammate Jace Gardner. It was brought to my attention in a morning workout. He put on some R&B Drake. Now I was told that did not go over well because I was just not the time or place. When it comes to the early morning workout, like is there a certain like type of song that has to be played in order to get the juices flowing? Because I'm pretty sure R&B Drake is not fitting that description.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say R&B Drake's probably not fitting that for anybody. It doesn't even matter. Uh, the collective is not going to respond well to that. Um, this summer in the mornings, the energy's been insane. It's been great, no matter what. I'd like to think the ox has been pretty good in my opinion. It's been pretty nice and balanced. But you put on, man, you put on any good rap song. Now you get it's a little dangerous if you put on and you start arguing about who likes Young Boy and who doesn't and things like that. That's good. You don't want to go down that road at all. So, like I said, anything newer, it can be by Young Boy, but don't play too much. You're going to get in an argument. And then the occasional like Hippies and Cowboys by Cody Jinks or something like that, and it keeps everyone evened out and ready to go. So we've had a good song selection this summer, and there's a few rock songs that everybody's on the same page about. So
Okay, good, because I could. It seemed like at least when I talked to guys, I asked them this every time the artist is either the baby, little baby, little Dirk, Gunna. I'm like, but there's more than 4 artists out there. Like you can't tell me that's the only 4 artists that is played. Like I no, I don't. I'm like I get it. I get it. Okay, I guess. I mean, maybe I'm at that age now where it's like it's not the same for me. Like I guess. I mean, I don't know. I had this whole conversation with Coach Dumas about this. It's like, maybe we're getting to that age where it's like maybe after a day's work, maybe we don't want to necessarily play Little Baby or The Baby, or in like our cases, like Chief Keef was big. Maybe I don't want to on my drive home turn on Chief Keef and like get hyped. Like maybe I was a little bit slower, a little bit more relaxed. Maybe I'm getting to that age because I'm like there has to be more than those 4. So I greatly appreciate you naming an artist that were not those 4, because sometimes I worry. I'm like, are those the only 4 that get played in that locker room? Besides Lamb, who apparently he's just out there. But like the majority of the time, I'm hoping it's not those 4, because like there's more out there. I know there's more out there.
There definitely is, and I mean, I'd like to say we spread it around a lot, but those 4 you mentioned are definitely the biggest reoccurrences we see. But I mean, whatever is working is working, and if it gets us going, it gets us going. But there's more. There's more. Rest assured that we have a little more diversity in the music than that, for sure.
Okay, good. And I will say, I don't know, wouldn't let Jalik on the aux because he's talking about like he listens to a lot of like Mary J. Blige and stuff. Again, nothing wrong with that, but like, bro, I'm not gonna be, at least me. You put that on in a workout, I'm not gonna go into workout to Real Love. Like that's just not. No, like there's got to be a time and place. It was the same thing with Peyton Scott. Dude would listen to like Barry White before games. Like, again, nothing wrong with Barry White, but Peyton, we're about to go out there to play football, and we're putting on Barry White, my guy. Like, I mean, whatever works for you, but I would not let Jalik net a Oxford, because I just if R&B Drake was bad, playing real R&B is going to be worse, because just don't let Jalik on that ox at a morning workout, because no.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. I completely forgot about him, but Jalik is not. He's not on the ox for me, and he knows that. We will no.
Unfortunately, let's see. Okay, your favorite food?
Good question. I'm be pretty basic with it. It's gonna be like a nice fillet of steak with some Caesar salad and mashed potatoes. I'd say that's the most basic answer I have for you. But I really love jambalaya too. That's a big one of mine that I can eat all the time. So
okay. Now, when we eating the steak, we rare, medium rare, or well done?
Medium rare always.
Okay. I think I've only ever gotten medium rare. I don't think anybody said rare before, which is kind of surprising. I know some people that eat it rare. I'm like, listen, I need mine at least somewhat cooked. Like, I don't want to be eating straight, like off the cow, So, okay.
It's just a good safe bet for sure.
Okay. Now in terms of gear, now if I recall, I know you have gloves. I think you tape your wrist, and I think you have a towel somewhere around that. I think is the gear I recall. So now, are we just not big on the gear, because like some of your teammates like to dress to the nines and wear all the bands and all that stuff and the 5 pairs of socks? Where do you kind of fall on the gear? Are you more just like, I just need the necessities, let me go out there and play? Or do you have to be like Mosley out there and Delso and all those guys, all flashy and whatnot? Like where do you fall on the gear?
Yeah, I mean, my drip level's probably pretty low in the eyes of those guys for sure. But but my go-to is always a pair of gloves, because my fingers and fingernails, like they'll be gone real quick if I don't put a pair of gloves on. And then I wear these black wrist guards instead of. I actually don't tape my wrist. I wear wrist guards. They're almost like a brace on each wrist. I love those because when I'm going to punch an offensive lineman, it's just going to keep me locked into place. And I'm a big sweater, and I'll sweat through any type of tape on my body. But those are hard. Those stay there. So we got gloves, wrist guards, and then I actually wear a shoulder brace, which I don't know if that counts or not, but I count it as part of my gear, part of my drip. Look at all the good linebackers out there. A lot of them have shoulder braces on, and then I got my towel, and that's really the extent of my drip. I might rock like a leg sleeve or something this season, but other than that, I keep it pretty simple. I don't even wear back plates, so pretty simple, just the necessities. But I'd like to think it adds a little bit of aura to my gear that I've got on that day.
Okay. Now, who do you think among the linebackers is probably the most swaggiest in terms of the gear?
I'm gonna have to go with either KB or Justice Conway or Hudson Grant. One of those three.
Okay. And on defense as a whole, who do you think is the swaggiest?
I mean, you already mentioned his name. It's going to be J-Mo. J-Mo's got a new assortment every game. I mean, you'd think he runs out of ideas, but he never ceases to surprise me. The entire DB room, I mean, they've always got something that they're thinking of.
Yeah, that's a I think the only exception, and even lately, Kobe's been more in the gear lately. His freshman year, I kid you not, this man had no. I think he had gloves and maybe like a long sleeve undershirt. He had no gear to the point where I was like, Kobe, did they withhold you gear? Like, was that a freshman initiation thing? Like, he didn't have a towel. He had nothing, and I was like, Kobe, did they like withhold the gear? And he's like, no, that wasn't his. So he slowly got in the gear, I think, because of the Moses in the world. They gotta look good. Receivers the same way. The Delso's over there putting polls for helmets that he's not gonna wear. It's just, it's just like there's something to be said for the front seven and the O line. Just good old necessities. Let me go out there and play. Like I don't need, the 50 calf bands and the 3 pairs of socks and then the back plate with the D. Just I get it. Right? You look good, you play good, but I don't. But if it works for them, it works for them. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear that.
Do you have any pregame routines that you normally do?
I'm big on putting my pants, towel on, undershirt, everything except and shoulder brace, everything except my pads and helmet. And I like to go walk the field like a lot of other guys do. But I like to pick one line that I walk and just walk back and forth the full length of the field. And just listen to my music or sometimes a podcast. I just like getting familiar with the field a little bit, looking around, looking how many fans are coming in, just kind of doing my thing, being out of the locker room where everything's super tense, just kind of take myself outdoors and relax for just a little bit. And then actually before every game too, I like to watch it's a pretty short video, but it's a Marcus Luttrell speech, who was a former Navy SEAL. He's speaking to the Tennessee football team, and that speech always gets me juiced up. So I always watch that before every game, at least once.
Okay. I guess my final question for you is what can UCO fans expect to see out of Jack Puckett this upcoming season?
Yeah. First and foremost, you're going to see a guy that's going to be selfless, tough, and disciplined and play for his teammates over himself. You definitely won't ever see any type of quitter, or you don't see that much of a emotional player one way or the other. And if you do see emotion, it's going to be after a big play when I want everyone to be a part of it and feel my energy. You won't ever see me hang my head, but hopefully you'll see a real leader out there that's doing his best to put himself in position to make plays and keep his team in the right mindset and go out and accomplish all of our collective goal of winning the football game and winning the national championship.
Well, Jack, I appreciate you taking time this evening to come on and talk to us. Hope you have a good rest of your off season, good fall camp into the regular season. If you want to come back on at any time, you're more than welcome to. We'd be happy to have you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on as well.
No problem. Thank you, Jack.